Welcome to day 4 of the 5-day Choose Love Challenge. Yesterday was all about the blame we tell our husbands. Today is about the stories we tell ourselves inside our head when we're hosting our own pity party. We're telling ourselves that the heartache and suffering that we're feeling is our husband's fault. So by that, we're telling ourselves that we have no power or control over the situation. So mind what stories you tell yourself. This is how a pity party starts, with the stories we tell ourselves and the emotion that we invite inside our heads. So this is how my pity party always starts, or used to start. It was when I let Mr. Great Expectations inside my head, because Mr. Great Expectations has some followers. Sooner or later, disappointment and then resentment will follow Mr. Great Expectation. They follow him around like a dark shadow. And just note this, great expectations come from desperation because it's been a while since you've connected. So that's how my pity parties would always start. So with great expectations, and sooner or later, Mrs. Heartache joined the party. And she has followers called Unloved, Unwanted, and Rejected. They always follow Mrs. Heartache. And not to forget, Mrs. Heartache's boyfriend, Mr. Blame, he shows up at the party, right? Can't have one without the other. Mr. Blame is right there on the spot sooner or later, and he's super loud. So once he joins the party, you can't hear anyone else. This is key. You can't hear any other of the reasonable, sensible guests that might be in your head, because Mr. Blame, Mrs. Heartache's boyfriend, he is a super loud, obnoxious guy. You can't hear anything else. Once he gets there, he talks. And Unloved and Rejected are starting to party, and Unwanted is there, Unworthy is there, and they're all being led by Les Miserables, which is the person that you're going to be dancing with and clinging on to all night long. You're going to feel miserable at this party. But pity parties, they're really tricky. They're a slippery slope, because once they have gotten started, you party till you drop. You can't stop because Mr. Blame is so loud. That's all you hear. So they start by great expectations, but the real party gets started when Mrs. Heartache enters the door, right? Because after Heartache comes Blame. So you simply party till you drop, till you fall flat on your face with exhaustion and you've been crying your eyes out all night or days or however long it goes on, right? You're completely exhausted, and you actually feel a sense of relief because you've been crying your eyes out, and that releases endorphins. Plus, you've unloaded a ton of shit. If you're like me, when I hosted my own pity parties, I would send endless text messages, right? Mr. Blame was right there in my thumb, just texting, and it was super embarrassing. I never ever want to read those texts. But then I felt a sense of relief when the party was finally over. But guess what? Where did all that shit I got out, where did that end up? That, of course, ended up, if not with my husband, in between me and my husband. So the connection that I want to create or need to create I'm further from where I want it to be, right? Because all that shit that I've unloaded is now in between us. And the main reason to begin with that I got great expectations, and that really what a pity party is, it's a desperate, self-destructive attempt to get the love and connection that we so desperately need and want. But when we're desperate, we're pushing it away. We're making it impossible for our husbands to approach us. That's the result of a pity party, is that he gets really, really scared and we repel him completely. So Sting says it best when he says, wriggle like a fish caught on dry land, struggle to avoid any helping hand. That's what you're doing when you're hosting your own pity party. Or as my friend Jackie said, Monday, you can't smell the shit when you lie in it, and you can't, all right? So that's the results of hosting your own pity party, is that we place distrust and fear in our husband, and he shuts down, right? Immediately shut down when we're being like that. So those are the results. And the way to stop a pity party from actually starting is to not have great expectations. It's as simple as that. So, okay, it's not bad that you look forward to and you want to have a good time with your husband, that's not a bad thing. But when you lose faith, that's a bad thing. If you don't have the faith to withstand that your great expectations are not being met because you're feeling too insecure, and you start telling yourself that you're feeling hurt and it's all his fault, then don't have great expectations. You need to nip pity parties in the butt, because once they get started, they're unstoppable, right? That's the hard fact of it all. So, yeah, that's what I have to say about pity parties. Really, remember this. Pity parties, they are nurture for your limiting beliefs, right? And they will create the situation and the proof that they want and that you want to keep telling yourself your husband doesn't love you. But guess what? He does. Really, love is not something that can just vanish. So remember that. Love will stay. And remember this, it is you and only you who can change your unworthiness stories and your limiting beliefs. It's only you. You decide what you tell yourself. No matter what has happened in your life, it's not what happened. It's not the circumstances. Whatever trauma, it's the story you tell yourself about yourself or the world after this event happens. These are the stories that decide where you're going to end up in life and what you're going to do with love and your relationship with love. So mind the stories that you tell yourself, because these are the ones that will determine your relationship with love. So you need to nip them in the butt and be aware of this. So here's the equation of it, right? So great expectation plus the amount of time since you've had a connection equals excitement, that equals desperation, that equals a pity party. So that's the cycle of it. So if you haven't connected with your husband, you're more prone to host a pity party and you repel him even more, because it's a desperate, self-destructive, anxious attempt to get what you want. It's like love is a scarcity that's going to disappear. It's not in abundance. You're desperate to get it and you repel him, and he gets scared because he has before tried to approach you when you're in that mode and you've lashed out. So he shuts down immediately, right? So you need to just get over whatever you're feeling and create a connection. You need to just jump into bed with him. If that's the way, that's the most efficient way I find, and connect without words. Whatever you can do to create a connection, because otherwise you'll go that route around and try desperately to get a connection from hosting your own pity party. So if you get great expectations, reach out for help, or stay faithful and stay in trust. That know this, your husband loves you. Love is not going to disappear, then it's not real love, right? It's a matter of choice, and trust is a choice. And it's okay to be insecure, but don't blame your husband for it, okay? He loves you. You might not always believe it, but he does love you. And whatever he did, whatever story you're making inside your head, in his head and his mind, he never ever meant to hurt you. So remember that, and it's okay to go a little crazy, but try to nip the pity party in the butt, because pity parties, they are so destructive when they go on. You shut down mentally and he shuts down, and the connection is gonna take longer because you need to party till you drop before you can reconnect with your husband. So I'd nip them in the butt, and just remember these words next time that you're starting to feel your own pity party. Stop hosting your own pity party. And yeah, that's right, I owe you a story. All right, so honest to God truth, I used to cry while I did the dishes. I remember exactly the day that I was standing by the sink doing the dishes and just about to go down that same old pity party road story in my head. Like, I'd literally stand there and think, oh, it's so sorry, I feel so sorry for myself. Oh, why do I have to do these dishes? Why did my husband never do the dishes? Literally crying. Like, how sorry can you feel for yourself that you're crying while you're doing the dishes, right? So I heard this lady on YouTube talking about stop hosting your own pity party, and there was just something about the phrase. So I was standing there and just about to get started. You know how your brain, it's just about the stories and the things you say. And then I remembered the words and I just laughed and smiled. And I've been doing the dishes smiling ever since. It's a game changer. Stop hosting your own pity party. Pity parties are nurture for all your unworthiness stories and your limiting beliefs that are holding you back. You don't want to give them nurture. Stop hosting your own pity party. All right, guys. Have a great day. I can't wait to see your comments in the thread below. And in the email section, just let me know how your challenge is going. What are your thoughts on how to stop your own pity party? Are you hosting your own pity party? Are you able to see that you're hosting your own pity party? What stories are you telling yourself when you're hosting your own pity party? And is this helpful? Do you agree? Is it good to stop hosting your own pity party? Let me know. I'm a big fan and believer of stop hosting your own pity party because you are empowered. You have the choice. Don't tell yourself that you're a victim and you don't have power over your situation. Don't give away your power. Don't give it away by blaming, shaming, or shouting. And if you do happen to do it like I still do in Snap, take your power back immediately. Own it up and just don't make excuses and justifications. Try not to give your power away. If you do, take it back by owning up to the fact. No excuses, no explanations, no justifications. Take your power back. All right, ladies, have a great day. Bye-bye.